Alright, here we go. Welcome back to Lenz Comic Corner, Classic Lesson Known Classics. This is episode number 2706 and episode number 2600. Yep. Now, this one is going to be quite unique with this one. We're discussing some of the stuff related to Tita Comics, basically from issues 225 to 236. And from Batman, 247 to 261, but skipping over one issue. We'll talk about that. First, discussing 225, 226. I discussed the Batman stories already when I did my review of Showcase Pen's Batman Volume 6. Now, with this one first, now, the thing is, right after the Batgirl feature ended with 224, for some strange reason up until 237, there was this very brief period of time where we had a rotating stories. There was a story for Jason Bard, Elongated Man, Hawkman, and there's even one story for the Atom. So like every few issues they would have this feature. For issue 425, it's Jason Bard. Yeah, they decided to replace him in this book for some reason. I'm not really sure exactly the reason for this. But this was teased. Yeah, this is cheese. It's called The Open and Shut Case. Written by Frank Rubens. Artwork by Don Heck. Now, a lot of these stories for Jason Bard end with basically a picture of Barbara Gordon. His girlfriend. Yep. So, we have the first story open up with basically... we have Jason Bard. By the way, Bard, he walks around like Kane. Yep. And we see like a picture of basically Barbara Gordon. This one she's still a congresswoman. So he finds out his old war buddy is dead. He basically now Jason Bard is a private investigator. You see him just investigating just this crime. He does find out who it is, and it basically puts him away. And like, okay, case one solved. Yep. Moving on to 426. 426 features a story with the Elongated Man. Yes, the Elongated Man. This actually was his return to the book since issue 373. Yeah, since 373. That was the last time he appeared in the book as a feature. And for some reason, now I'm not sure why this is. For Tita Comics, there's some stories, like the backup story for this book, are not in trade. Do not know the reason for this. So, Elongated Man story. This is written by the late Lean Ween, art by Dick Giordano. I'm surprised this was not included in Tales of Batman by Lean Ween, probably because it's not a Batman story, it's a Elongated Man story. It's mostly put just Elongated Man's wife, Sue, just saw Mr. the West look like a diver in the middle of the desert. Yeah, go to a West town. And by the way, Elongated Man in this story is wearing his costume he wore back since the 70s. He's not going to update until the 90s, where it's like a red and like red costume with a blue gold belt and black in the middle. Yeah, he wears it out for a long time. It's a good mystery for him, and that's simply it. Two good stories so far. The story is called Trails of Faded Footprints. Now, 427, this will be the first, well, kind of full one. The first story is basically just Batman. So it's all about puppets, this one. Yes, it has a weird, ambiguous ending where the puppet kills him. Yes. In the case of the second one, I Wake Up Dying. This one starts out quite weirdly. You have Bard returning from a case from another city, I think it's probably Chicago, they mentioned, and he's arrested by the GCPD. And the reason? Allegedly, he killed somebody. And they see him, basically pictures of him, and he does point out though, yeah, this is not me. The face isn't correct, but the hair is wrong. Why? Because he does point out on the book the hairstyle he did change after the war. Yep. And it's kind of a weird story per se. And like Gordon's like, yeah, basically targeting his daughter's boyfriend. By the way, still Frank Rubens and Don Heck. Ira does the artwork for the opening story. For 428, just discussing the opening story for this one. The Hawkman story we discussed already. We have debut of a character named Shotgun Smith. Yeah, he's a fairly recurring character. He does appear a good amount per se. This comic is his debut. He mostly became a recurring character in Robin. Yeah, basically Chuck Dixon brought back a recurring character in Robin. He will return for issue 436, and after he would disappear for years. Yeah, it's basically just a cop, just debut new character. Why not? 429 is basically Batman versus Man-Bat in Las Vegas, of all places. Well, X teams up with Man-Bat, taking on She-Bat. Yeah. The second one is basically Jason Bard. Case, the loaded case. Now, does this one have a picture of Barbara Gordon in it? No, this is actually the first one that does not do it. I'm not sure why, though. Yeah. So, the opening story of this issue is reprinted in the greatest Batman stories ever told. The Jason Bard story is not. Still don't know the reason for this. Oh, Larry's page just basically includes Mike Barr. It just basically Jason Bard goes out. It's himself like a quick little bank robbery. Yep. Moving on to 430. By the way, 429. This is noteworthy for being the first issue of this book written, drawn, and inked by Frank Ribbons. Now, in the case of issue 430, this is another full one. Frank Ribbons is writing again with Bob Brown on the artwork. We have E. Nelson Bridwell, good writer, with Dick Jarrett writing inking for this book. It's basically this one just Batman solving an amnesia case. The mobsters. In the case of the Elongated Man, it's basically going to Hollywood. It's basically a ghost story, but I kind of really enjoyed it. By the way, there's a Jim Perry this issue. It's not Jim Gordon, it's somebody else. 431. Which, this is something, though. Like, last one featured Elongated Man. This time it's Jason Bard again. We have Denny O'Neil on the writing for this one, with Aaron Nervik on the artwork. And we have the first credit. We have the guys who did the first two stories for Jason Bard. Crime in My Hands. It's basically Batman, Bruce Wayne joining basically a resort. One of those stories because it's Denny O'Neil. Denny had a reputation for when he did Batman stories. He loved taking Batman out of Gotham. He loved doing that. It basically just solving a mystery at a resort. The Midstall Manor. And unlike the last time that Jason Bard appeared, Barbara Gordon does not appear. This one does feature Barbara Gordon picture. Yep. It's mostly put basically Jason Bard take on a counterfeiter. Yep. That's kind of what this issue is. 432. This one features an Adams story. Yes, an Adams story. Adams story is Elias Migan, Murphy Anderson, the artwork. You would think, is Murphy Anderson still alive? No, he passed away in 2015, but is Elias Migan, is he still alive? Yes, he is. And he's 6 years older than my dad. Yep. So the opening story is basically Batman going to Virginia for an issue. Yes, Virginia. Now this one features a guest appearance by Ray Palmer. Yep. And apparently the Ray Palmer story was reprinted in Justice League America's Super Spectacular. Yeah, this giant silver bunch released in 1999. Now, why in the world they printed this story here, I have no idea. It's mostly put just the ongoing time traveling for one issue, which don't mind that at all. Not really. Moving on to basically, 433. Yeah, it's basically a horror story. Frank Rubens does the writing here with Dick Dillon in the artwork. The backup story is basically an Jason Bard story. The Case of the Forged Face. And it's all about basically like... Oh yeah, this is the one basically where he got arrested. This was a different one. Sorry about that. But it... For some reason, basically, Bard, they like basically Casey with basically his girlfriend's father for some reason. Yeah, so you have an issue where Commissioner appears for twice in one issue. Yeah, and this book basically just has Batman solving murder at the harbor. Okay. Then we introduce to four. Now, this one, I think this is the one particular. No. This is basically the debut of a character known as Spook. And oh boy, the Spook. I do agree with the person in the documentary about this guy. My gosh, the guy who he really is was so, like, what? Who the heck is this guy? Some bald guy somehow Batman knew. Yeah, it's a story for him that starts in 434, continues in 435, continues issue of Batman. Yes, it's a trilogy. It's kind of in a way the first Batman crossover. Oh, and the backup story, it's a Hawkman one. I'm not discussing the Hawkman one. Like, the whole thing is like this mysterious guy called the Spook, which I don't know who the heck he is. And then, of course, it continued in the pages in the following issues, 435. But, of course, basically, that the story continued in Batman 252. Which is backup story from Robin, but they found out who the heck this guy is, and Jason Bard make appearance here. And like, oh, he's supposedly dead. But not really. He comes back later. Yeah, it turns out he basically faked his death. Yeah. 436, I should discuss here for this one. It is mostly put, in a way, Return of Shotgun Smith. It's Batman solving a mystery at the airport. The backup story is a Lunged Man story. Yes. Oh, a dog went missing. It's a really interesting one. They say, I read here, no, what this is the last issue edited by Julius Schwartz, who've been editing this book for 110 issues, and it's passed to Arch Goodwin, who, I'll be discussing him in future review, discussing his stuff here, but, yeah, very interesting stuff when it comes to Detective Comics. I'm gonna give the Detective Comics roughly a 9 out of 10. Yep. Moving on to some Batman. The Batman issues I'm discussing from 247 to mostly to 261, but skipping over 255 because it's discussed already. First starting with Batman number 247. He has mostly put a two-story book, basically Batman solving a murder on Christmas Eve and New Year's. That's kind of what this issue is. It's written by Danny O'Neill, who writes both stories, but different artists. Ivan Norwick does the first story, second story is done by Dick Jarrett. It's basically a two loosely connected stories here. For issue 248, Danny O'Neill does the writing of Bob Brown, the artwork. The backup story is for Robin, I've already discussed already. It is mostly put him versus Colonel Sopper. Yeah, this is a return of the character. First time appearance issue 241. And after this issue, he would pop up in issue Brave and Bold, and 3 issues of World's Finest, and that was sadly it for the guy. 249 is basically taking a lot of drama to the current on the underworld. This one, really, I do like this one. Frank Grimmers does the writing here for this one. Eric never does the artwork. 250. What's the big celebration of this issue? Well, there's kind of two stories in this one. The first story is called The Deadly Numbers Game, written by Frank Ribbons, art by Ari Nevick. It's basically Batman solving basically museum thefts. The backup story is the Batman who nobody knows. It just basically Batman just helping some kids out. Now let's see about this one. But 251, oh boy, this is a really good one. 251, the return of the Joker in the Bronze Age. Yes, this was his first Bronze Age appearance. And here's a sad fun fact about this issue. The second to last issue of Batman, where the interior is done by the late Neil Adams. Yep, it's basically Joker return to form. I reread this issue recently, and like, wow. Like, the guy who talked about this, he's very disappointed with this issue, but I love this issue. Like everything is on point. Joker's basically back in his little murderous ways here. It's basically like the Golden Age. It's like they bring back the version of the Golden Age into the Bronze Age. Just have where he's no longer the annoying prankster, just basically having a freaking criminal again. Which, yeah, great issue. And it's all one story. Ends ambiguously, similar to Killing Joke. Does Batman kill Joker in this issue? No. Just capture him. The whole thing is about capturing Joker. And this was actually his first appearance since issue 77 of Justice League America. Yep. Now, 252, the reason why I'm skipping this issue, because I actually discussed this already. I was actually 255. 250 was one I want to skip. 253. Oh, this is a good one. First of two team-ups in the Bronze Age, where Batman teams up with basically the guy who inspired him to be Batman indirectly. For he who knows, the Shadow. I'm like, ooh, yes. And this issue was really good. Shadow could evolve a little bit here and there. Batman, of course, basically respects it. He's basically kind of his idol. Yes, the Shadow, which makes total sense. And here's the strange thing about this issue. Like, when they had that crossover with the Shadow, like a few years ago, where it's was doing the arc, I really wish they would collect this issue and the following issue. Because, like, wait, is this the first time they two team each other? You're like, no, 254 is the first time they team each other. And there's a follow-up to this one, which, yeah, I would think that they probably would do it, but no. And it's still Kent Ellard. Or Lamont Cranston. Yeah, I'm not really sure why that they didn't include this one, but they didn't. But I love this issue. Danny did a great job with this book. You might be curious, did Danny do a Shadow book? I think he did. Now, 254. This issue in particular, mostly put, this is the first issue where the opening story is original, but everything else is a bunch of reprints. It is most of it Batman team up with Man-Bat taking on the Gateway Genius. It also came was introduced at the start of the Silver Age. I guess that Danny brought the guy back because why not? This was the first appearance issue 201. And he makes two appearances after this before it gets killed off. And basically in 2010. Now 255. Skip a little because basically I've already discussed this already. I think it was a trade to collect this one. It was Tales About My Lean Ween. That's why I discussed this one. So I'm going to skip this one. Going straight to 256. Like, yeah. So the opening story has the first bronze appearance of Catwoman, this one. And her updated costume. Yep, that's mostly put exactly what the issue is. And the opening story is, and everything else is mostly just reprints. Yep, Denny O'Neil are like, wow. 3 characters. 3, versus Two-Face. Then it's Joker. And then Catwoman. And the very next issue, it's the Bronze Age reintroduction to the Penguin. Yes, the frickin' Penguin. And Talia Ghul's in this issue too. It's called Hail and Penguin. This was collected in the Greatest Batman Stories Ever Told. Another classic Danny O'Neil story. Moving on to 258. It's a Two-Face story. Yep, it's Two-Face's second appearance in the Bronze Age. Yep. Oh, and here's the neat thing about this issue here. 258 is a historical issue because this issue has the very first appearance of Arkham Asylum. Yep, the common hospital, the common place that is a medical institution where Batman criminals go once they're actually crazy. Yeah, this issue is basically its debut. I have heard that the asylum itself is named after a county from H. Lovecraft stories. That's where the county's name comes from. That's where the name of the asylum comes from. So, I guess basically that the writer of this issue, which is Danny, probably took inspiration from H. Lovecraft. All right, 259. This is another match with basically, this is the second and last time until the miniseries, I think it was in 2018 when it was, where Batman teams with Shadow. One more time. And he disappears, never to be seen again in Batman comics. He mostly put just relegated to his own book. Yeah, and the first issue story is dedicated to Bill Finger, who had actually just passed away at this point in time. Yep. Of course, Danny and Art Network on the artwork. I kind of wish they would do because there are these Tales Batman by various writers. They should do it for Danny O'Neill. They really do it for him because this guy did a lot of really good work for him. 260. I never appears my Joker. Batman teams up with Arkham Asylum, with Two-Face for this issue. Once again, Danny O'Neill and Aaron Network. And finally, the final issue to discuss here, it is basically issue 261. And still the same creative team. It's mostly put basically about Batman spending time at this, one part of the city that he usually doesn't spend time in, like an arcade, a hotel, while dealing with a friend of his who passed away in this issue. It's an okay issue per se, but I'd say, in my opinion, the best issue features the Batman villains. Probably the best issue overall is 251. Yep. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much a particular view. By the way, the Batman issue is roughly most of the issues I give the One Face Shadow a 10 out of 10. The Batman villains, same. But there's like 2 or 3 okay issues per se. But there's that. So that's pretty much a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do hit the dislike button. Yeah, no videos tonight. So I'll see you all tomorrow for more anime videos. So, see you all tomorrow. Bye.